Hi, everyone. I'm Sue, and I wanted to come on to do this brief video about breathing. Yes, I know breathing. Everybody does it. You don't really think about it. But have you noticed all the research coming out lately and all the books that are being written and the connection that we're getting between how we breathe and how we feel and even how well we are? So I wanted to give you a little quick tutorial and then a couple of things to practice free. So the first thing to remember is that every single system in our body needs oxygen. And the more oxygen we can get into our tissues, the healthier our system is going to be. But here's the kicker. We need to have a balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide, which is what we exhale. Most of us think about carbon dioxide as a waste material that we don't need, but that is absolutely not true. And when there is an imbalance of oxygen to carbon dioxide ratio, there's less oxygen actually delivered to our cells. So think about it. When you over inhale, what do? We tend to hyperventilate, right? That's our body trying to tell us to stop doing that. So the exhale can be as if not more important than the inhale. Our body breathes automatically. Thank God we don't have to think about it, right? But how we're breathing can have an effect on our body and our mind. And what our body is going through and what our mind is thinking can have an effect on our breath. So it's this big loop. I like to call the breath the communicator, the link. So we can use the breath as an awareness tool. We can use the breath to shift what's happening in our system. And in yoga, what we talk about a lot is pranayama, which is the practice of specific breathing techniques, will shift you quicker than anything else. It'll shift you in the moment, but it will not sustain you over time. So what does that mean? Well, you should practice it often. We should bring our awareness and consciousness up to it often. And if you want to sustain it over time, you link it to meditation because that's where it really gets juicy. So when we're thinking about our breath, we're bringing consciousness and awareness to the breath and how we're breathing. We really can build some vibrancy and some health in our cells and in our tissues. Our breath is linked to our central nervous system. How? The fight or flight nervous system, our sympathetic nervous system, the nerve endings are all in the upper chest, mostly. So when you breathe shallow, you're kicking off this fight or flight response, and you get in cortisol response, and you've got that, oh my God, fear, anxiety response. The central nervous system, nerve endings in the lower lobes of the lungs are connected to our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest. So when we can pull the breath down deeper, we stimulate this nervous system and it calms us. It helps us to calm us down. A couple last things. Our vagus nerve, if you don't know anything about that, we call it the wandering nerve because it comes from the brainstem and it wanders all around through our internal body, primarily in the gut, which is where this gut-brain thing comes from. So if we're anxious, this vagus nerve doesn't function properly and it sends messages down to the gut, down to the organs, and they don't function properly. And vice versa can happen. When you're upset or something's going on and you're in distress and your gut feels that, it sends it back up into the brain. And then you have this system back and forth. Guess what calms that down faster than anything? Diaphragmatic breathing, breathing in your belly. And I'll talk to you about that in a minute. So do you know some of the causes of dysfunctional breathing? Now there's a lot, right? If you're breathing up in your chest, have you ever been with anybody who's like in a lot of pain or dying? or really sick, they're going to breathe up here. If you are not going through any of those things and you're just sort of the day-to-day person like myself, I don't want to breathe up here all the time because it's not going to be optimal for me. So some of the causes for dysfunctional breathing, sitting is number one, because we typically don't sit well. And if you haven't heard this already, sitting is the new smoking. Our posture, how we stand, how well we stand, how open the front of our body is, really key. And anxiety and fear will kick this off, will affect our breathing. Those are just a few. And the way I look at it as an Ayurvedist is I look at it as lifestyle. I look at it as, well, how much am I sitting? How much am I moving around? Notice I'm not talking about exercise. Of course, that's important. But what we found, Chris and I put a slide together about the benefits of conscious deep breathing, and they're very much linked to exercise. You know, you have improved respiratory and cardiovascular functioning. You have increased cellular health. You have increased energy. You have decreased depression and anxiety and lethargy. I mean, there's just so many things just from breathing well. So I'm going to give you 3 things that you can do on your own. And they're simple. The first thing is you breathe in and out through your nose. Simple inhale, simple exhale through your nose most of the day, if not all day, and especially at night. Now, we have a real dysfunction in this culture right now with what we call mouth breathing. And when you breathe through your mouth, you kick off that fight or flight system. When you breathe through your nose, it helps you to breathe deeper, and it will kick off that rest and digest system. Now, if you're congested like I was for like months with my allergies, it was really challenging, but I worked super hard at trying to stay focused with my breathing because I know how important that is. So you can reach out to Chris or I if you have any kind of issues right there. We can maybe help you, but breathe through your nose. The second thing is to use your diaphragm muscle. Now, your diaphragm sits like a mushroom at the base of your lungs, and it is your primary breathing muscle. Your lungs are not a muscle. They do not breathe. They hold the oxygen. They hold the breath, and they expand and contract based on what the diaphragm is doing. Here's another cool thing. If you're breathing deeply into the lower belly, when we say that, you're not really breathing in your belly, but the diaphragm is moving downward, expanding the belly. It gives all your internal organs a little massage, which is really important for them to be healthy. So breathe through your nose, take nice, full, deep breaths. Third thing, take slow, relaxed, rhythmic, quiet breathing. I'm a yoga teacher. I cannot even tell you how many times I would walk into a yoga class, and before anything even started to happen, people started to do what was called ujjayi breathing, which is loud. It's noisy. They think it's a better way to connect to their breathing, but honestly, it's a specific pranayama that's done for a specific reason. You don't do it all the time. So think about how you're breathing. Do you breathe relaxed? Is your breath nice and easy? Does it have what I call smooth edges? Is it quiet? Or is it rattly and noisy? Is it rhythmic, meaning you're not holding your breath anywhere? You're not going, that would be non-rhythmic. And is it relaxed? So breathe through your nose. Breathe deeply towards your belly. And breathe in a way that's relaxed and quiet and rhythmic and slow. All of these things, you don't have to do them all throughout the day. You're not going to be able to do them all throughout the day. But stop every once in a while and take a break and go, how am I breathing? How am I sitting? Do I need to get up and stretch and maybe take some nice deep breaths? You'd be surprised at how good it will make you feel. So there you go. My quick tips of the day and my little impromptu support for why we want to breathe well. Have a beautiful day, everyone, and I'll see you soon.